Whoever designed AI was brilliant because AI is designed to connect to the heart. And that's what's missing in our society today. And it's missing out of our conversations. We try to go from facts to evaluation. We'll say like, no, because, or we'll even say, well, here's the situation and this is why we're going to go that way. But when we skip what I call exploring, the heart and the experience, that's when people disconnect from each other.
I hear what you say about AI, and that's why it's so addicting, right? I mean, I was just reading that, and that's to Brent's point, why we, so many people are going to have relationships with their AI. It's just validating. It's a mirror. It tells you what you want to hear. All of those things that, can be good and can be scary. And now what you're saying about conflict resolution and this whole idea that, yes, we've never been more polarized than we are now. I'd never seen anything like it. When I was growing up, I didn't know if people were a Democrat or Republican. It didn't matter. I voted on both sides. Like it was the person, it was the issue. We are certainly not there anymore. I think what would be interesting with this feed process, because it's so powerful and really simple, but if you're not doing it, it's advanced, right? Because the like you said, the cortisol kicks in. We start telling ourselves stories, and so we lose the connection. Can you give us an example of maybe how you've used the feed process in a really tense situation?
I was asked by the State Department back when President Bush was in office to help with some of the human trafficking issues in the Middle East. And so I was there doing some work. And it was also the Arab Spring. So I was also asked to do some work I was doing some mediation between Sunnis and Shias. And it just so happened when I was in Bahrain during this time period, it was the morning of Muharram, which is probably, I don't want to speak for Shias, but I think it's the most important Shia holiday, right, of the year. And it's a 10-day process. And people go down it and they actually close off the streets at night. And people go and they mark, they kind of, walk in the streets and they mourn the passing of Imam Hussein, it was actually, I think, during that battle, decades and decades and eons ago, where Sunnis and Shias took two separate turns. And most Shias are from Iran. They originate from Iran. And so a lot of my Shia friends in Bahrain were Iranian. And I went down, they invited me to see the morning of Muharram. And the energy is just palpable. I mean, people actually, they have tables on the streets that if anybody wants to use different instruments where they can, in a way, flog themselves so that they can connect to the pain of the loss of, I don't want to speak again for Shias, but like the passing of Imam Hussein. But it's very intense. I mean, very, very intense. The energy is palpable. You would have thought that he had just died the day before. And I'm down there and I'm experiencing like thousands of men in the streets. And my friends kind of take me off to the side and we're having a conversation. And I think it was really the emotion of the moment. But all of a sudden I find myself in this dark alley with, surrounded by these men. One I knew, the rest were his friends I didn't know. And they kind of circle me and they start like shouting in my face, like, this is what the West doesn't understand. We aren't afraid to die. Imam Hussein died for us and we will die for our children. And this is what the West doesn't understand. And you can bring your nuclear bombs and you can threaten to bomb us, but we're going to come back and we don't care if we die. And I'm just thinking to myself, I want to go home. I want to go hug my son, who I think was like 2 years old at the time. I want to go home. But I also was in this moment, right? It was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And so again, what I was hearing from them was their evaluation and their reaction to what was going on. So my favorite question to bring people out of that position, when people are in a position, right? An evaluation and a decision is a position. And sometimes we take these positions and we battle against that position and we start to argue, but that doesn't usually help, going back to our point of our world. But my favorite question in that moment is, tell me more, right? When you ask someone, tell me more, it takes them out of their position and into what their experience was that led them to that position. And in that experience, we can find connection. That's where we can become human to human again. So in that moment, I asked him, I said, help me understand. Tell me more about Imam Hussein. Tell me, I can feel the passion. I can feel the love. Can you please tell me more about him? And the second I asked that question, he said, Imam Hussein died for us and I would die for my child. And I could relate to that because I would die for my child. And then the conversation shifted. And then all of a sudden, when I asked him that question saying, tell me more, help me understand, that brought him back into his experience, right? And then I shared my experience saying, I would die for my child too. and we were back to being friends. And all of the intense, like at 1 minute, it was almost like we were Iranian American, and now we're two friends again, and the relationship stayed intact.